Howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So today we're going to talk about MS-13. We need to talk about MS-13 because it has become the boogeyman. That's why we got to build the wall. So let's talk about the boogeyman. Now, what I'm saying here by calling them that is not to downplay their viciousness or their propensity for violence or how efficient they are. But it might be important to understand how they came to be. So, in order to understand that, we got to go back to 1979. In 1979, there was a coup in El Salvador. The U.S. government backed it. It triggered a decade-long civil war. That civil war created a bunch of refugees. Those refugees wound up in California. In California, they found themselves to be a minority among immigrants. So they all hung out together. Kind of safety in numbers type of thing. Of course, just like with all other minority immigrant groups, that turned into a street gang. MS-13 was born. And it was a street gang. Not a big deal. Then two things happened. First was that the Civil War in El Salvador ended. And we sent a bunch of them home. Okay? And that sounds like not a big deal. Except for the fact that part of the peace deal was that the government down there could no longer use the army as police. And they didn't have any police departments. So we sent a bunch of gang members to a country with no police. So of course they carved it up and grew in power very, very quickly. They didn't have any opposition. And then something else happened. Satan showed up. Well, Satan was his nickname. His real name was Ernesto Darris. And this man was brilliant. Not applauding what he did with his brilliance, but he was brilliant. He understood logistics. He understood the importance of training. He understood the importance of discipline. He understood tactics, weapons, how to strike fear into the heart of a community. He understood interrogations. He understood everything that we taught him. And by we, I mean the U.S. military. The leadership, the person that turned, who's credited with turning MS-13 from a minor street gang into a transnational criminal enterprise, is a guy the U.S. military trained. Now, records are fuzzy. We aren't certain of whether or not he was trained in El Salvador or he went to the School of Americas. If you don't know what the School of Americas is, it is a facility that the U.S. government runs. Now, the School of Americas closed, of course, but it has been renamed the Western Hemisphere Institute for Security and Cooperation, something like that. An organization with the same mission still exists. So, in this place, if you look at the graduates of this school, you will find out that they're linked to pretty much every horrible thing that has ever happened in Central America in the last 50 years. Everything from the assassination of priests to the disappearance of journalists, mass executions. It's really bad. And they were all trained by the U.S. military. So, now it isn't certain that he attended the campus in Panama. He may have gotten the training at like a pop-up satellite campus in El Salvador. The records aren't really clear on that. But, to recap, the U.S. backed a coup and triggered a civil war. The gang was founded in the United States. It grew in power because of the United States' move to push a bunch of them to a country with no police. And we trained the leadership that took it from a minor street gang in California and turned it into a transnational criminal enterprise. Tell me again why this is the reason we need a wall. MS-13 is an American creation, not just in the sense that it was founded here, but in the sense that every step of the way, it was American foreign policy that built it. Maybe a better idea would be to curtail our foreign policy instead of building a wall. The kind of knee-jerk reaction that leads people to think, oh, we need a wall, is the kind of knee-jerk reaction that leads us to train people like Satan. You know, it's funny. All of these people want to really strict scrutiny and very thorough vetting of people who want to come in and claim asylum. And maybe that's a good idea. But you never hear them calling for strict scrutiny or vetting of those people that the U.S. military trains to murder, torture, assassinate, and dominate a community by fear. That might be a better idea. Just, you know, kind of stop the problem before it starts. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good night.